During their attendance of the World's Anti-Slavery Convention with their husbands, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott were brought to the women's only section and were not allowed to sit or speak during the event.
Welcome, ma'am. Allow me to direct you towards your section.
Pardon me, this is outrageous. Why are we destined to be segregated just because we are women?
Silence, you foul beast!
Today's outrage inspires a chain of historically significant events symbolizing equality across the nation. Following a meeting involving 5 reform-minded women, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Lucretia Mott, Mary McClintock, Martha Coffin Wright, and Jane Hunt. Jane Hunt bids Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott farewell from her home.
I'm a trust fund, baby. You can trust me.
I've been reading Common Sense by Thomas Paine. So men say that I'm intense or I'm insane. You want a revolution, I want a revelation. So listen to my declaration. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And when I meet Thomas Jefferson, I'ma compel him to include women in the sequel. Work!
Then it's decided. We shall hold a convention to discuss the social, political, and civil rights of women.
I shall spread the word.
We shall have the support of the community. Farewell, sisters.
Farewell.
Word of the convention spread.
Get your pamphlets for the Women's Rights Convention. Page 2 for the ladies. Day 1 for the ladies. Day 2 for the men. Women's Rights Convention.
Shall thou attend?
Women's Rights Convention?
We're meeting at Seneca Falls.
Seneca Falls?
I don't think it's that crazy. I think
This is going to be a big step forward for women.
Frederick Douglass accepted McClintock's invitation to the convention, revealing his commitment to women's suffrage. Despite only 10 days' notice, 300 people attended the convention, the first day only open to women.
We are assembled to protest against a form of government existing without the consent of the governed, to declare our right to be free as man is free, to be represented in the government which we are taxed to support, to have such disgraceful laws as give man the power to chastise and imprison his wife, to take the wages which she earns, the property which she inherits, and, in case of separation, the children of her love. Laws test against such unjust laws as these that we are assembled today, and to have them, if possible, forever erased from our statute books, deeming them a shame and a disgrace to Christian republic in the 19th century.
Right is ours. Have it we must, use it we will. The pens, the tongues, the fortunes, and the nominal wills of many women are already pledged to secure this right. The great truth is that no just government can be formed without the consent of the governed. We shall echo and re-echo in the ears of the unjust judge until by continual coming we shall weary him.
Preach.
As it is said in Joel 2:28, and it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. It is foretold by the prophet that women deserve equality of rights.
In addition to her speech, Stanton also read aloud the Declaration of Sentiments, which was discussed at length. The Declaration of Sentiments was modeled after the Declaration of Independence to grant women the rights and freedoms awarded to men through the Declaration. On the second day of the convention, men were allowed to attend and share their thoughts. The Declaration of Sentiments was officially drafted and stated that all men and women are created equal. It was intended to parody the Declaration of Independence and include the inalienable rights.
These truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure those rights, governments are instituted, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed.
Many complex topics were explored and discussed, including the apparent superiority that men claimed over women.
The history of mankind is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations on the part of man toward woman, having in direct the establishment of an absolute tyranny over her. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world.
Many men provided their input on the situation and signed the Declaration. Frederick Douglass was among them, agreeing with many points stated by Elizabeth Cady Stanton.
For centuries, men have overpowered women. Whether they knew it or not, it is time we establish a system of equality for all citizens of the United States. I believe no man, however gifted with thought and speech, can voice the wrongs and present the demands of women with the skill and effect necessary for this movement. It is essential that we listen to these powerful women and not only respect, but enforce their beliefs on equality.
68 women and 32 men signed the Declaration of Sentiments, totaling 100 signatures. The declaration included a list of 11 resolutions calling on Americans to regard any laws that placed women in an inferior position to men as having no force or authority. The ninth resolution was the most controversial, calling for women to have the right to vote.
In respect to political rights, we hold women to be justly entitled to all we claim for men. We go further and express our conviction that all political rights which it is expedient for men to exercise, it is equally so for women. All that distinguishes man as an intelligent and accountable being is equally true of women. And if that government is only just and governs by the free consent of the governed, there can be no reason in the world for denying to women the exercise of the elective franchise or hand in making and administering the laws of the land. Our doctrine is that right is of no sex.
Stanton was a leading women's rights advocate who was a driving organizer of the Seneca Falls Convention. Stanton first became invested in women's rights after talking to her father, a law professor, and his students. She studied at Troy Female Seminary and went on to work on women's property rights reform in the early 1840s, dying from heart failure in 1902.
Lucretia Mott was a Quaker preacher from Philadelphia known for her anti-slavery, women's rights, and religious reform activisms. While she kept up her commitment to women's rights, Mott also maintained a full routine of mother, housewife, and continued after the Civil War to advocate the rights of African Americans. Helping to found the Swarthmore College in 1864, she died in 1880.
Mary McClintock was the daughter of Quaker anti-slavery, temperance, and women's rights activists. In 1833, McClintock and Mott organized the Philadelphia Female Anti-Slavery Society. At the Seneca Falls Convention, McClintock was appointed secretary. Following this, she remained a prominent suffrage leader, living until the age of 84.
Martha Coffin Wright was Lucretia Mott's sister. In addition to being a lifelong proponent of women's rights, she was an abolitionist who ran a station on the Underground Railroad from her Auburn, New York home. Wright committed 20 years of her life to women's rights and the abolition of slavery, going on to serve as the president of the National Women's Suffrage Association in 1874. She died in 1875.
Jane Hunt, another Quaker activist and well-known philanthropist, was a member of McClintock's extended family through marriage. She died in 1889 at the age of 77. She was essential in the process of creating the first women's rights convention and hosted the party where the idea was discussed. Frederick Douglass was born into slavery but released at age 21. He is well known for being an abolitionist as well as a male supporter of the women's rights movement. He taught himself how to read and write despite strong laws against the education of slaves. He dedicated his life to equality of all people up until his death in 1895, leading a very fulfilling and free life.